We work so you can play. Chaos, chaos, time for chaos!
Chaos Space Marine Tactica!
Miniwargamer Dave here from Miniwargaming.com. Okay, Wargamers, this is it. Today, we're going to talk about what could disputably be one of the most powerful HQs in the game. And that would be this little feller right here.
The Nightbringer! Get out of here, Mike!
Chaos Demon Prince. The ultimate desire of any warrior of chaos is to achieve demonhood. So basically you're a chaos lord and you're risking your own neck out for your chaos superior in order to gain favor in the eyes of the chaos gods. And just hope they don't turn you into a spawn in the meantime. But in order to gain favor in the eyes of the chaos gods, you most likely gotta kill a lot of people. And things and creatures and aliens, and races and animals and vehicles and you name it. And not just a lot, you gotta kill dozens of worlds worth of these things and living creatures. And then perhaps the chaos gods will grant you immortality. So those who are demon princes, who lead chaos space marines, were once Space Marines themselves. They are great lords of chaos and sorcerers. And they're walking around still in the original armor, and they pretty much hate the Imperium as always. Although one could say that their appearance has changed greatly. Some have wings, some have horns, some have tusks, some have fangs, and some look like this gentleman right here. Oh yeah, you know it's true. But all of that aside, to become a demon prince, it's extremely rare. Pretty much you gotta be a Primarch, or just extremely lucky, like 1 in a Googleplex percent. They're quite rare. Just remember that. Okay, enough of the fluff for now. We're gonna go right into the war gear. A demon prince is a monstrous creature. And we all know the benefits for armor penetration for being a monstrous creature. It's an extra d6. And it says that he's always counted as being armed with a close combat weapon. And ironically enough, that's all it says for the war gear. He's got a few special rules. I mean, he's fearless. Well, of course he's fearless. I mean, what is he afraid of? I mean, he's the be-all end-all of achievement in the warp. He's got an invulnerable save, and he's an eternal warrior. Now to me, in this case, that would be a pun, because he's an eternal warrior. Yes, he's immortal. He goes on forever and ever unless he gets his head chopped off or something. And it also means he's immune to instant death. I mean, if you really think about it, if he wasn't immune to instant death, I mean, that would really suck. Having a demon prince enables you to take upon yourself any of the 4 marks of chaos. And you have one of the 7 possible psychic powers available to you that you can use in battle. So I'm going to proceed to go over each one and the benefits of going with each one. To start off, one of the options that you can give your demon prince is wings. So having wings, what does that do? Well, it gives you extra movement, because the majority of the configurations that you can give your demon prince are really, really good in close combat, no matter what you have. Even if you're just like shooting stuff as a demon prince, which I don't recommend. I recommend that you beef him up for close combat and get him in there as fast as possible. Having wings allows you to get into close combat faster. Another thing that it allows you to do is deep strike. Keep in mind that you cannot take advantage of the personal icon that your troops may have and be within 6 inches of them. You cannot do that. Only Termies and Oblits can do that. And lesser demons too, but I don't use lesser demons. And that counts as moving and you're stuck out in the open. So it's best not to deep strike him, I have found. It's best to hug a land raider, using it as cover and getting it fast into close combat. And I love, love, love centering out the enemy's HQ. Because with the Demon Prince's initiative, which is decent, you most likely are going to attack first. And if you give him warp time, which enables you to re-roll your 2 hits and 2 wounds, you're going to wipe him out. And he's not even going to have a chance to hit you back. That's if you give him warp time, which is one of the 7 psychic powers. And even if you don't give him warp time, I have wiped out the enemy's HQ without giving him warp time, because he's got high weapon skill and strength. This guy is so much fun to use. You just gotta feel him. Just do it! Getting off the rant, going back on track. Marks of chaos that you can give your demon prince. Mark of Khorne, we all know, allows you to have an extra attack. However, if you have the Mark of Khorne on your demon prince, that negates any possibility of having a psychic power. Keep that in mind. If you give your demon prince wings also, fast movement, you have extra attacks, 5 attack space, 6 on the charge, that's a lot of very high strength attacks. I mean, it's pretty awesome. That in and of itself. Normally I don't do that because I like to give him at least 1 psychic power. And he's got 4 base attacks. I mean, what else could you want? It's just an extra attack, right? And you can have another psychic power, and that, believe me, that makes up for the fact that he gets that extra attack if you were to give him the Mark of Khorne. Mark of Slaanesh gives you higher initiative. And it enables you to have a Slaanesh only psychic power, as well as any of the other non-specific Chaos God psychic powers. And that psychic power, which I'm referring to, is the Lash of Submission. Now, technically, I could make a whole other video on tactics with the Lash of Submission, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to give you a couple. And they're ridiculously awesomely cool. Strap in for this, because you're going to love it. So this is how Lash of Submission works. In the shoot phase, I can target an enemy unit that is within 24 inches. Roll a psychic test to see if I'm able to use the power. If I make my psychic test, I roll 2d6, and that's how far in inches I can move that enemy unit. How awesome is that? Are you serious? Did I hear that correct? Yeah, that's right. I can move them 2d6 inches. Now chew on this tactic. I move my Demon Prince up, which may or may not have wings. If he has wings, that's an extra 6 inches, and that's fine. But he doesn't necessarily have to have wings if you give him Lash of Submission, because a Lash of Submission gives you that 24-inch range that you're able to pull in the enemy unit closer to you so you can charge him in close combat. Demon Prince moves up, Lash of Submission. I pull the enemy unit towards me. Not only can I, as a Demon Prince, attack, but my Khorne Berserkers, which are right beside me, can attack the unit as well. My Chaos Space Marines can attack the unit, which are over here on this side. Or my Chaos Space Marines, which are in rhinos that have moved up and disembarked, can now shoot their rapid-fire weapons, which are now in range because of the Lash of Submission. Or if the enemy unit has certain weapons in them that have a certain range, I could use the Lash of Submission and push them away, further away from me, so they can't shoot at me. How awesome is that? Like I said before, you don't necessarily have to put the wings on your Demon Prince if you have the Lash of Submission, but if you do, that is just extra movement. And any extra movement with your Demon Prince is a good thing. Now, if you plan on using your Demon Prince to assault the unit that you are pulling in using the Lash, make sure you have a backup unit helping you out. Because as strong as the Demon Prince is, you don't want him tied up in close combat for too long. And just remember that the unit that is affected with the Lash of Submission takes a pinning test. Oh yeah. Mark of Nurgle. This mark gives you higher toughness. Toughness is good. That gives you the Nurgle-specific psychic power, Nurgle's Rot. This is Nurgle's Rot. In the shoot phase, all enemy units within 6 inches of my Demon Prince suffers the strength 3 hit, and I can be in close combat at the time, as well as the units that are affected by it. So as you can imagine, that is really good against horde armies. You're just walking up and it's... Let's talk about the Mark of Tzeentch. It drops your invulnerable save from 5 to 4, which is really, really good. And it allows you to have 2 psychic powers instead of 1. The Tzeentch specific psychic power is Bolt of Change. Bolt of Change is pretty much a multi-melta, with the exception that instead of being a heavy melta weapon, it's an assault weapon. The same range, same strength, same AP, same everything. Only it's a bolt that comes out of your Demon Prince, which to me, not really a good ability. Because you get him up there assaulting the vehicle, and he's a monstrous creature. He gets an extra d6 on armor penetration anyway. And how often really do you want your Demon Prince shooting at stuff? You want him in there, in the fray, chomping stuff up. So those 3 psychic abilities can only be administered to those that have those specific marks of chaos. Lash of Submission for the mark of Slaanesh, Nurgle's Rot for the mark of Nurgle, and Bolt of Change for the mark of Tzeentch. That's 3 out of the 7 possible psychic powers that you can give your Demon Prince. Let's go over the rest of them. Doom Bolt. You can use this in the shooting phase instead of using another ranged weapon. What other ranged weapon would I have anyway? Pass your psychic test as usual. 18-inch range is pretty much like having a 1,000 Suns bolter that you can fire 3 times, which in my opinion is not worth it. Don't use Doom Bolt. Just don't do it. It's like giving your Demon Prince a little water gun. Not even worth it. Don't even do it. Warp Time. Oh, Warp Time. Just like how it sounds. Reroll to hit and to wound. Need I say more? And I'm sure all of us could benefit from that ability. It is expensive, but depending on what you're fighting against, well worth it. Gift of Chaos. This is a very fun psychic power. Not a psychic gift that I would normally give my Demon Prince, but if I were playing a fun game where it's just random crap happens all over the place, I would for sure use this gift. And this is what this is. First off, you have to use it at the beginning of your turn. I can be in close combat as well as the target. I pick an enemy model and I make a psychic test. So if the test is successful and my enemy model is within 6 inches of me, I roll a d6. If the score of my d6 roll is higher than the model's toughness, then they are turned into one of these. And they are removed from the board as a casualty. And since no wounds are taken, no saves apply. If my d6 roll is a 6, it's always successful, even if the toughness is higher than 6. So the enemy model is taken off the board, and it is replaced by one of these guys. And it is now under my control. And consequently, if my little guy is now killed, he's worth 40 victory points. And if it just so happened to be that my models were in base contact with him, and they're now in base contact with him, they're now engaged in close combat. Last but not least, Winds of Chaos. Winds of Chaos, minus the burp. So I use the psychic ability in my shooting phase. Roll for psychic test, pass the psychic test in order to use the power, and if it's successful, it's resolved the same way if I were to be using a template weapon. Any models under the template weapon suffer a wound on a roll of 4+. And here's the best part. No armor or cover saves allowed. And also, if it falls under the vehicle, commencing hits at 4+. Wind of Chaos is also an expensive psychic power, as is Gift of Chaos. So essentially, Wind of Chaos is an extremely strong flamer. Now, for being one of the most powerful HQs in the game, his points cost are relatively inexpensive. Surprisingly enough, you can put him in the game totally unupgraded, and he is still very powerful. Now you can make him a Psyker, which doesn't cost any extra points, and you can give him 1 psychic power. So any of the 4 that aren't affected by the Chaos-specific psychic powers, you can give him. And if it were me, it'd be Warp Time. Oh, glorious Warp Time.
I am warping the time.
This guy's insane. I mean, he's good against vehicles, he's good against HQ. It's a scary model. People are terrified of this guy, as they should be. I had a big problem with one of these guys. He kept me up all night for many, many months. And now he's Joe's problem. He just wants to be fielded on the field and fighting stuff and blowing stuff up with his monstrous creature attacks. So, have fun with your Demon Prince. Remember to field him. Remember to keep him in cover until he's in close combat so he doesn't get targeted. Preferably behind a Land Raider. That works very well, because then he's completely out of sight of the enemy. If you don't have a Land Raider offhand, behind a Rhino, behind anything, his hits are crucial. You don't want a squad of Orc Boys taking him out. If you are going to attack the squad with Orc Boys, make sure there's the HQ within that squad, so you can center him out. You can take him out and it's worth your points, because he's going to take out the War Boss before the War Boss is able to attack you, and you'll kill a whole bunch of more boys before you're dead. And you would have made up for your points cost. And if you're going to give him wings, actually get wings and convert your guy to make him feel more authentic. We don't want no superficial Demon Princes. We want the real deal. Oh, yes. I mean, Demon Prince, he goes so well with Berserkers, it's just ridiculous. They were made for each other perfectly. They help each other out, either way. Berserkers assault, Demon Prince helps, wipes out the rest. Demon Prince assaults, Berserkers help, wipe out the rest. It's just simple chaotic goodness. If you're going to deep strike him along with some Terminators or something. Make sure that he's not the only target right out in the middle of openness to get shot at before he even gets to assault anything. That would just be a shame. So, that's it. Have fun fueling your Demon Prince. Share your tactics with us. Let us know what you think.
All the attention can't be on you.
The Nightbringer!
That's not true.
The Nightbringer!
I don't think so.